What's up, guys? Zanara here, and today I'm going to be talking about the newly card reveals for Nubatama and my thoughts and opinions about them. So I'm going to be doing a new setup, trying to make things more interesting for you guys to watch and to see. So let's just get started. I'm just going to reveal the card effects, and then I'm going to talk about my thoughts and opinions. I might talk about a little bit of them each, but I just want to get all my thoughts and opinions in the end. So the first card I was revealed was the Triple R Stealth Dragon Shiranui. So act Vanguard cost, discard a card from your hand, switch the deck up to one Demon Stealth Dragon Shiranui Oboro. Right at stand and shuffle your deck. And on auto RC, when it attacks the Vanguard, if you have a Vanguard with Shiranui in this card name, this unit gets 10,000 power to the end of turn. Then at the end of that battle, put this unit to the soul, draw a card, choose one of your opponent's rear guards, return it to his or her hand. If it was to return, your opponent chooses a card from his or her hand and discards it. So this is this is a good card for many reasons. One, it's finally a card that you could do something on your first grade 3 ride. Hanzo, Magatsu Storm, Jamio Congo has something as to like you can cut down your hand, but Shiranui allows you to get extra protect marker and allows you to go into a more better grade 3 ride, which you can pull off turn 3. And the Rigard skill is just super solid. It's like a combination of Gale and Tamahagane. Because Gale got power and it can return a card to hand, but you choose your opponent's card and they discard a card. So it's like it's a massive swing. It gives you soul, what you need, and it allows you to sort of control your opponent's field. And it's a rear guard skill, so if you have extra grade 3s in your hand, like this you're doing in your hand, you're able to put in the soul and use it for later turns, and also get off future plays like Jamio Congo. So the fact that you need Shiranui in the name means you can't just ride Jamio Congo and just use its skill to put in the soul to get the drop 4, which is good. I'm glad they tested that. So onto the VR of the set, we have Demon Stealth Dragon Shiranui Oboro. So it's a great thing with protect marker, continuous Vanguard. During your turn, you have 2 or more cards in your soul with Shiranui, no card names. This unit gets power plus 15,000. You perform drive checks for the battles. Your Mask of Domination token attacked. Then, at once a turn, Vanguard Circle, cost Paramount 1 to discard a card for your hand. Choose a unit from your opponent's RC or drop zone and bind it. You can bind a card. Call a Mask of Domination token to your back row center RC, and until the end of turn, that unit, that token gets the original grade, power, critical, and all abilities of the card bound by this effect. It can attack from the back row center. At the end of that turn, remove that token. So there's a lot of stuff to talk about here. So the first skill, we'll talk about the first skill. Getting 2 Shiranui in the soul, especially with the grade 3, and how much like filter power that Nubatama is starting to get, such as you have you can use Magatsu Gale to try to draw into him. You have the grade 3 searcher that was revealed, and there was a promo also revealed, like he'll be fine Shiranuis, and you can play more draws. Like Nubatama's always been like a draw heavy build, so the more Shiranuis you have in your soul, he can get 15k power, and you can perform the drive checks of the token that you called Mask of Domination. So the Vanguard skill, the fact that you're able to bind a card from your drop zone and your token gets the power, the abilities, the critical, like basically almost all the effects of that card is really good, and it's interesting as to like certain matchups. So like Night Rose with Skull Dragon, it's in the drop zone safely. Well, they have to bind it now. They can never get it back. And your token of Mask of Domination has your Skull Dragon's ability, which is their Skull Dragon's ability. So that's nice. It will retire, but you're just gonna remove it anyway. As for the cost of it, which is super nice. And it's like it's a super beefy rear guard, which is nice. So your opponent has to be more aware of what they Soul Blast and what they call, because Nubatama could utilize it. Now, they cannot utilize on-play skills. Of course, I can't use Vanguard skills either because it's on the rear guard. So there is a limit. However, to the meta decks right now, like Sharo and Night Rose, even though Luar got hit down the peg, it's possible that they'll be changing some cards they can use, but still having another rear guard that gets drive checks. No, yeah, another rear guard that's just beefy, and another attack in the back row is just super helpful. And since Shiranui gets 15k power by itself, you don't need a booster. And the fact that it's sort of free, if you put Shiranui in the soul, the triple R version, it just has so much utility. You can just put it in the soul. You can re-ride Oboro from your hand there. You already get one by using the original Shiranui. So this is just a really interesting card. And then last, the Mask of Domination token. So you put this in your central back row, and it gets the abilities, the critical, the original power, and they can attack from the back row. Yes, they can attack for the back row center. So I'm not 100% too sure if it gets drive. But if it does, then that's pretty cool too. The Mask of Domination, like I said before, it does not get on-place abilities from autos. And if your opponent is on a Force 2 marker where you bound the card from RC, it does get the critical of 2, since this original critical becomes 2. So that's like really interesting. My overall thoughts. This is a good step for Nubatama, especially after Hanzo. The whole deck itself with Hanzo, it has some pretty okay plays, but you really needed to draw Zagetsu or Kirigiri, and Kirigiri is hurting your soul in this case. However, with Shiranui, if you get the triple R Shiranui, or even riding Oboro first, as long as you get your 2 Shiranuis in your soul. So if you ride Oboro first, and then you like drove check or drew it to the original Shiranui, you could ride the Shiranui next turn and just ride Oboro with its skill, which is really good, so you get the skill off. It's only, I'm pretty sure you won't play that much Oboro in the deck, so you won't have like a hand cluttered with them. You really want to ride the triple R Shiranui to just get Oboro, and then you can use the triple R Shiranui to put in the soul, because its rear guard effect it's a free 22k booster if you have Shiranui on the Vanguard, and your opponent you control your opponent's board for like no cost other than just putting in the soul, which is fine. It's a plus. It's a wash, but you're plussing your soul, which Nubatama needs. So like I said in my Oboro discussion, or my thoughts, it is sort of matchup dependent, because there are some decks that just doesn't like really utilize as much. So like DI A lot of the cards are on place, or you need 10 soul, which you can't really use because Nubatama doesn't have that much soul. However, that's where cards like Jamio Congo, especially if DI gets the double number of terror, they draw like 8 cards. Yeah, Jamio Congo is gonna cut your hand to 4. And the next turn, if you survive their turn, which they have bigger swings, but you can push back. Um, yeah, they have bigger swings, but their hand is so small at that point. They might not be able to survive, depending if you went first. After all, this is just still my early thoughts. Nubatama can still get cards that can change the deck and make it better against the DI matchup. But as of right now, I believe the Night Rose matchup will be it will be interesting, especially since Night Rose can still do its attacks. It still has Skull Dragons, but the moment I'm pretty sure all the Rose lists are running 4 Skull Dragon or at least 3. So binding one, they will have to like actively search for the other one unless they Navigator got all of them in the drop zone. But the fact that you could just keep binding it from the drop, it just keeps sniping their opponent cards. It keep using Skull Dragon to pressure them, as well as having Shiranui on the rear guard. And extra drive checks with power is really, really good. There was also a comment that was revealed yesterday. At the time of recording, today is Tuesday, so a couple hours after the stream. It was a grade 2. I forgot its full name, but it's on place. I believe rear guard only, but it could be Vanguard. I could be wrong. But you Counter Blast 1, your opponent chooses a card from their hand, and they have to call it to RC. And they cannot use any of their auto effects. And the second skill is if you have a grade 3 Vanguard when it attacks. No, I believe when your opponent is grade 3, it gets 5k power. So it's a 14k beater, and it forces your opponent to basically discard 1. This card is really, really amazing. So it's not only amazing in standard, it's amazing in premium too. But in the context of Shiranui, you can call this, call that card at grade 2, and you can just take cards out of their hand. The deck doesn't use CB as much. Well, from these cards revealed, it does use CB as much because Oboro's the only one that uses CB. Or any other skills you use from like binding the rear guard for the Toka Domination. But either way, the deck doesn't use CB as much. We still have one of the best counter charges, Soccer Fubuki, which you can reuse, get CC back. Also, we have a grade 1 that just CC ones if you have no face up, so that's really, really good too. So we have 2 counter charge options. Magatsu Gale is still a very important card. It got reprinted in the Festival Collection. So pick up your Gales because it's going to be really, really played. It's a good early game card. You can bounce back Soccer Fubuki. You can bounce back any important all-place cards. Whenever it gets revealed, you can bounce back that grade 2 I just talked about. That's a common, by the way. But not only that, the synergy that Shiranui has with Jamio Congo and Kogashigarasu, the grade 3 that's 11k that just forces your opponent to discard a bunch of cards. It's very high synergy. If you get the triple R Shiranui off, you already have your 2 Sentinels and you already have your 3 Soul. If your opponent's at grade 3 and they have cards on the field, yeah, you just destroy their hand and then you just use Shiranui Oboro to pressure. It's very strong. In Jamio Congo, just him existing, like I said, in my theory for right now, there are just decks that can just draw a lot of cards. Night Rose and Sharo, to be exact. Messiah can too, but they mostly pressure with Voco. You can bind Voco, and if they do call Voco from the skill, oh well. You can also bounce it with Shiranui. They have cards that can force call it back again, but it's them using more of their resources to bring it back on the field again. Yeah, like it's super interesting that they took the token and the domination aspect from G. It's more balanced. It doesn't like rip cards from your opponent's hand, and more so, it's also like sort of a mind game sort of thing because there are obvious targets where you want to target. So like I said before, like Night Rose, you want to target Skull because it's a big beater with a bunch of drive and not a bunch of drive, but just a bunch of power. And Rose will have to guard that as well as your triple R Shiranui column, your Vanguard Shiranui, and whatever cards that come in the set just to hold you off, as well as, you know, if you draw too much, if the new Matama player has Jamio Congo, they have no problem just riding Jamio Congo restricting you with your hand size. Sure, Rose can call it from the deck, but they need specific cards and in their drop zone and in their hand to fill back up their board. Of course, I can use Colin Bard and Negrabone to start refilling their field. But at that time, like I said, triple R, Shiranui, and Oboro is straight 2 protect markers, which just it gives the Nubatama player defense in order to block those Skull Dragons, and also Oboro just keeps sniping them. The longer the game goes, the more their win con starts losing now. So yeah, there's also some interesting old cards that could be used with Shiranui and some of the other stuff revealed. There was a grade 3 called Mizukage. Basically, you soul blast a grade 3, which you could get very easily now in your soul because the triple R Shiranui just on Vanguard Circle just rides a Boro, grade 3 in the soul. You can use its skill. The grade 2 that I talked about, that force calls your opponent, use Mizukage first, and then no, I believe you use the grade 2 first, and then Mizukage, or either one or two. It doesn't matter. Both of them together, it forces your opponent to think it real hard what they want to call. So if they call grade 1, they can't use grade 1s. That means they have grade 0s in their hand, or more sentinels or whatever. They can call grade 2 if they want. But again, you're forcing them to make bad decisions, which I believe I said something like that in the last set. But with both of the Shiranuis in the Mask of Domination, with other spicy cards that Nubatama had in the past, it's really make your opponent think what they want to call and what deck Nubatama's going to run. Yeah, there's always going to be the staples like Gale, most likely that grade 2 common, the Shiranuis and Jamio Congo, and Soccer for Buki. But there's so many different interesting tech cards that Nubatama could play, it can surprise your opponent. But for right now, I'm actually kind of shocked that it's this interesting and it has some anti-meta potential. Is it going to be tier 1? Probably not. I highly doubt it. But it's going to take the Nubatama player in the deck some fine-tuning to deal with the tier 1 decks. It's not going to be able to deal with all of them. Like, it could deal with Rose and Sharo in theory. But as of right now, we'll have to see where they're going to take this with Nubatama. So, I don't want this video to be too long, so I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.